So today, we are going to dive into one of the most beautiful and frankly mysterious diagrams in all of human history. It's called the Shri Yantra. Now on the surface, it's an ancient Hindu symbol, but it's also a deep geometrical puzzle that has left artists and even mathematicians totally stumped for centuries.
All right, let's jump right in with a little test. On your screen, you see two versions of the Shri Yantra. Now, they look almost identical, right? But one of them is the real deal, the authentic, classical version. And the other one, it's a very common mistake. The difference is subtle, but it's absolutely crucial. And figuring out that difference is really where our whole story begins.
You know, the reason there are so many incorrect versions floating around is because the Shri Yantra is, well, it's just notoriously difficult to draw with any real accuracy. For centuries, people have been trying to replicate it perfectly, and it's been a massive challenge, not just for artists, but for mathematicians too.
The author of the text we're looking at really put this to the test. First, they tried drawing it by hand. Didn't work. So then they thought, okay, I'll use fancy computer-aided design software. And guess what? They failed again. The problem, it turns out, is that the ancient instructions on how to draw it were more poetic than practical, and a lot of them were just plain misleading.
So this kicked off what you could call a geometrical detective story. I mean, if the old instructions are no good, could modern math crack the code? Could we reverse engineer this thing and find the one true definitive blueprint?
The whole assumption was pretty straightforward. A symbol this precise, this perfect, must have a single mathematical formula behind it. The mission was to find that one unique set of rules that would let us generate the perfect Shri Yantra every single time.
But this is where things get really wild. After all that mathematical digging, they didn't find one solution. They found that there are an infinite number of correct solutions. The symbol wasn't this rigid, fixed thing at all. It was actually mathematically flexible.
So what's going on here? Well, in mathematics, the Shri Yantra is what's called an underdetermined problem. The simple way to think about it is that there are more variables, things that can change like angles and points, than there are strict rules locking them in place. This means there isn't just one right answer. There's a whole family of right answers.
And you can see this in action right here. Both of the diagrams you're looking at are 100% mathematically exact Shri Yantras. But look closely. You can see tiny differences in their proportions, in the angles. Both are perfect, but they're not identical. How cool is that?
Okay, so now that we've kind of wrapped our heads around its mind-bending complexity, let's actually deconstruct this thing. Let's take it apart piece by piece to see what it all means.
So, every Shri Yantra is built from three main parts. At the very center, the heart of it all, you've got 9 interlocking triangles. Wrapped around them, you have 2 circles of lotus petals. And then, enclosing the whole thing, there's a square outer frame called the bupura.
Now, those 9 triangles in the middle, that's the symbolic core. You've got 4 of them pointing up, which represent the male principle, or Purusha. Then there are 5 triangles pointing down, representing the female principle, Prakriti, or divine energy. And the way they perfectly interlock symbolizes the union of these 2 cosmic forces, the very creation of the universe.
Let's try building one from the outside in. We start with that outer square, the bupura. It's not just a border, it's meant to be the floor plan of a temple, with 4 gates opening to the 4 cardinal directions. It's like a protective wall for the sacred space inside.
Okay, let's move one layer in. Next, we hit the 2 circles of lotus petals. There's an outer ring with 16 petals and an inner one with 8. These petals symbolize things like purity, holiness, and the fulfillment of all your desires, both worldly and spiritual.
And then, when you put it all together, the bupura, the lotus petals, and those amazing interlocking triangles, you get the complete Shri Yantra. It's not just a beautiful design anymore. It becomes a powerful tool, an instrument for worship and for meditation.
Because really, that's its whole purpose. The Shri Yantra isn't something you just look at. It's a map. It's a guide for a meditative journey, leading you from the noise of the outside world to the quiet center of your own being. And this journey happens in stages, across 9 different circuits. You start at the outer gates, which represent the everyday earthly world. Then you move inward through the lotus petals, which stand for your desires. From there you go deeper and deeper, through rings of triangles, with each step bringing you closer to a profound spiritual realization, until finally you reach the center.
Each of these rings of triangles is its own chakra, or wheel. You can think of them as levels in the journey.
This one here, for instance, represents the stage where the meditator is freed from all earthly attachments and desires. You're getting closer to the goal. So what's the final destination? It's that single point in the very middle, the bindu. This is it, the sanctum sanctorum, the source of all creation. It represents a state of pure consciousness, of total bliss, and a feeling of complete unity with the entire cosmos.
And that brings us to our last and maybe our biggest question. When you consider everything we've just talked about, its geometric impossibility, its incredible spiritual depth, you have to ask, where did this design even come from?
Yeah, let's go all the way back to the beginning. The fact that this diagram is so ridiculously hard to make isn't just some modern math problem. It's an ancient mystery. How could anyone, thousands of years ago, without computers, create something so complex yet so mathematically perfect?
This difficulty leads to a really mind-bending idea, which is summed up perfectly in this quote from our source. It suggests that maybe the Shri Yantra is just so far beyond what a person could normally create that its origin isn't human at all. The idea here is that it wasn't invented, it was revealed.
And that's the question we're left with. Is the Shri Yantra the absolute pinnacle of ancient human genius, a masterpiece of math and art, or is it something more? A visual message from beyond, an echo of the universe's structure received in a moment of deep insight? The answer, just like the symbol itself, remains a beautiful, profound mystery.